particular. Is there a creature in the whole country but ourselves that does not take a trip to town now and again to rub off the rust a little? There's the two Miss Hoggs, and our neighbour Mrs. Grigsby goes to take a month's polishing every winter.
And bring back vanity and affectation to last them the whole year. I wonder why London cannot keep its own fools at home. In my time, the follies of the town crept slowly amongst us. Now they travel faster than a stagecoach. Its fopperies come down not only as inside passengers, but in the very basket.
Aye, your times were fine times indeed. We've heard you speak of them for many a long year. Look, here we live, in this old rumbling mansion that looks for all the world like an inn, but that we see no company. Our best visitors are old Mrs. Hogfish, the curate's wife, or little Cripplegate, the lame dancing master. And our best entertainment, your old stories of Prince Eugene and the Duke of Marlborough. I hate such old-fashioned trumpery.
And I love it. I love everything that's old. Old friends, old times, old manners, old books, old wines. And I believe, Dorothy, you know I have been pretty fond of an old wife.
Oh, no, Mr. Hardcastle, you're forever at your Dorothys and your old wives. You may be a Derby, but I'll be no Joan, I promise you. I'm not so old as you'd have me by more than one good year. Add 20 to 20 and make money of that.
Let me see, 20 added to 20 makes just 50 and 7.
'Tis false, Mr. Hardcastle. I was but 20 when I was brought to bed of Tony, that I had with Mr. Lumpkin, my first husband, and he's not come to his years of discretion yet.
No, never will, I don't answer for him. You've taught him finally.
No matter. Tony Lumpkin has a good fortune. My son is not to live by his learning. I don't think a boy wants much learning to spend 1,500 a year.
Learning, quotha. Oh, I mean, a composition of tricks and mischief.
Humour, my dear, nothing but humour. Come, Mr. Hardcastle, you must allow the boy a little humour.
I'd rather allow him a horsepot. If burning the footman's shoes and frightening the maids and worrying the kittens be humour, he has it. It was but yesterday he fastened my wig to the back of my chair. When I went to make a bow, I popped my bald head in Mrs. Frizzle's face.
Am I to blame? The poor boy was always too sickly to do any good. A school would be his death. Oh, who knows when he comes to be a little stronger what a year or two's Latin might do for him.
Latin for him? Oh, a cat and fiddle. No, no. The alehouse and the stable are the only schools he'll ever go to.
Well, we must not snub the poor boy now, for I believe we shan't have him long among us. Anybody who looks in his face may see that he's consumptive.
If growing too fat be one of the symptoms.
He coughs sometimes.
Yes, but his liquor goes the wrong way.
I'm actually afraid for his lungs.
Truly so am I, for he sometimes whoops like a speaking trumpet. There he goes, a very consumptive figure, truly.
Tony, my charmer, where are you off to all this raw evening? Won't you stay and give your papa and I a little of your company?
I'm in haste, mother, I cannot stay.
Oh, no, you shan't venture out this raw evening. You look most shockingly.
I can't stay, I tell you. The three pigeons expect me down every moment. There's some fun going forward.
The alehouse, the old place, I thought so.
A low, paltry set of fellas.
Not so low, neither. There's Dick Muggins, the excise man, Jack Slang, the horse doctor, little Aminadab that grinds the music box, and Tom Twist that spins the pewter platter.
Oh, pray, my dear, disappoint them for one evening.
As for disappointing them, I shouldn't so much mind, but I can't abide to disappoint myself.
You shan't go.
I will, I told you.
I say you shan't.
Now, we shall see which is strongest. You or I?
No!
There goes a pair that only spoil each other. But it's not the whole world in a combination to drive sense and discretion out of doors. There's my pretty darling Kate. The fashions of the time have almost infected her too. By living a year or two in town, she's as fond of gauze and French frippery as the best of them. Oh, blessings on my pretty innocence. Dressed out as usual, my Kate. Goodness, what a quantity of superfluous silk hast thou got about thee, girl? I could never teach the fools of this age that the indigent world could be clothed out of the trimmings of the vein.
No, our agreement, sir. You allow me the morning to receive and pay visits and to dress in my own manner, and in the evening I put on my housewife's dress to please you.
Yes, well, remember, I insist on the terms of our agreement. And, by the by, I believe I shall have occasion to try your obedience this very evening.
I protest, sir, I don't comprehend your meaning.
Now then, to be plain with you, Kate, I expect the young gentleman I have chosen to be your husband from town this very day. I have his father's letter in which he tells me his son is set out and that he himself intends to follow shortly after.
Indeed. I wish I had known something of this before. Bless me, how shall I behave? It's 1,000 to 1 I shan't like him. Our meeting will be so formal and so like a thing of business that I shall find no room for friendship or esteem.
Oh, depend upon it, child. I'll never control your choice. But Mr. Marlowe, whom I have pitched upon, is the son of my old friend Sir Charles Marlowe, of whom you have heard me talk so often. The young gentleman has been bred a scholar and is designed for employment in the service of his country. I'm told he's a man of an excellent understanding.
Is he?
Yes, very generous.
I believe I shall like him.
Young and brave.
I'm sure I shall like him.
And very handsome.
Oh, my dear papa, say no more. He's mine. I'll have him.
And Colonel Kate, he's one of the most bashful and reserved young fellows in all the world.
Ah, you have frozen me to death again. That word reserved has undone all the rest of his accomplishments. A reserved lover, it is said, always makes a suspicious husband.
On the contrary, modesty seldom resides in a breast that is not enriched with nobler virtues. It was a very feature in his character that first struck me.
He must have more striking features to catch me, I promise you. However, if he be so young, so handsome, and so everything, as you mentioned, I believe he'll do still. I think I'll have him.
Okay, but there is still an obstacle. It may be more than an even wager that he will not have you.
Oh, my dear papa, why will you mortify one so? Well, if he refuses, instead of breaking my heart at his indifference, I'll only break my glass for its flattery, set my cap to some newer fashion, and look out for some less difficult admirer.
Bravely resolved. In the meantime, I'll go prepare the servants for his reception. As we seldom see company, they want as much training as a company of recruits the first day's muster.
Lord, this news of papa's puts me all in a flutter. Young, handsome, these he put last, but I put them foremost. Sensible, good-natured, I like all that. Oh, but then reserved and sheepish, that's much against him. Yet, can't he be cured of his timidity by being taught to be proud of his wife? Yes, and can't I? But I vow, I'm disposing of the husband before I have secured the lover. I'm glad you're come, Neville, my dear. Tell me, Constance, how do I look this evening? Is there anything whimsical about me? Is it one of my well-looking days, child? Am I in face today?
Perfectly, my dear. Yet, now I look again, bless me, sure no accident has happened among the canary-birds or the goldfishes. Has your brother or the cat been meddling? Or has the last novel been too moving?
No, nothing of all this. I have been threatened. I can scarce get it out. I have been threatened with a lover.
Oh, and his name?
Is Marlowe.
Indeed.
The son of Sir Charles Marlowe.
As I live, the most intimate friend of Mr. Hastings, my admirer. They are never asunder. I believe you must have seen him when we lived in town.
Never.
He's a very singular character, I assure you. Among women temptation and virtue, he is the modestest man alive. But his acquaintance give him a very different character among creatures of another stamp. You understand me?
An odd character indeed. I shall never be able to manage him. What shall I do? Think no more of him, but trust to occurrences for success. But how goes on your own affair, my dear? Has my mother been courting you for my brother Tony, as usual?
I have just come from one of our agreeable tete-a-tetes. She has been saying 100 tender things and setting off her pretty monster as the very peak of perfection.
But her partiality is such, she actually thinks him so. A fortune like yours is no small temptation. Besides, as she has the sole management of it, I'm not surprised to see her unwilling to let it go out of the family.
A fortune like mine, which chiefly consists in jewels, is no such mighty temptation. But at any rate, if my dear Hastings be but constant, I make no doubt to be too hard for her at last. However, let us suppose that I'm in love with her son, and she never once dreams of my affections fixed upon another.
My good brother holds out stoutly. I could almost love him for hating you so.
It is a good-natured creature at bottom, and I'm sure would wish to see me married to anybody but himself. But my aunt's bells rings for our afternoon's walk round the improvements. Allen, courage is necessary, as our affairs are critical.
Would it were bedtime and all were well.
Gentleman for all that. Well, may this be my poison, if this bear ever dances to any but the most genteelest of tunes, as the water parted or the minuet in Ariadne.
Well, I pity the squire is not coming to his own, because that would be a fine thing for any publican within 10 miles round.
Ecod, and so it would, Master Slime. For then would I show what it was to keep choice of company.
Oh, he takes after his own father for that. To be sure, old Squire Lumpkin was the finest gentleman I've ever set my eyes on. For winding the straightboard, or beating the thicket for a hare, or a wind. He never had his spell up. There's a saying in the place that he kept the best horses, dogs, and girls in the whole county.
Hey, God, and when I inherit, I'll be no bastard, I promise you. I'll be thinking of Bet Bouncer and the Miller's Grey Mare to begin with. But come, gentlemen, drink up and be merry, for you pay no reckoning. Well, Stiggle, what's the matter?
There are two gentlemen in a post chaise at door. They pass away upon Forest and they're talking so much about Mr. Hardcastle.
Oh, as sure as can be, one of them must be the gentleman that's coming down to court my sister. They seem to be Londoners.
I believe they may. They look wonderfully like Frenchmen.
Desiring to step this way, and I'll set them right in a twinkling. Gentlemen, as they make me good enough company for you, step down a moment and I'll be with you in the squeezing of a lemon. Father-in-law has been calling me whelp and hound this half year. Oh, if I pleased, I could be so revenged on the old grumble Tony, but then I'm afraid. You afraid of what? I'll soon be worth 1,500 a year, and let him frighten me out of that if he can.
What a tedious and comfortable day have we had of it? We were told it was but 40 miles across the country. We have come above 60.
And all, Marlowe, from that unaccountable reserve of yours that would not let us inquire more frequently on the way.
I own Hastings to be unwilling to lay myself under an obligation to everyone I meet, and often stand the chance of an unmanly answer.
At present, however, we are not likely to receive any answer.
No offence, gentlemen, but I'm told you've been inquiring for one Mr. Hardcastle of these parts. Do you know what parts of the country you're in?
Not in the least, sir, but should thank you for information.
Know the way you came?
No, sir, but if you can inform us.
Well, gentlemen, if you know neither the way you came, nor where you are, nor the road you're going, then the first thing I have to inform you is you've lost your way.
We wanted no ghost to tell us that.
Pray, gentlemen, may I be so bold as to inquire the place from whence you came?
That's not necessary towards directing us where we are to go.
No offence, gentlemen, but question for question is all fair, you know. Pray, gentlemen, is not this same Hardcastle a cross-grained, old-fashioned, whimsical fellow, with an ugly face, a daughter, and a very handsome son?
We have not seen the gentleman, but he has the family you mentioned.
The daughter at all trapes in trolloping, talkative maple. The son, well-bred, agreeable, very handsome fellow that everybody's fond of.
Our information differs in this. The daughter is said to be well-bred and beautiful. The son, an awkward booby, reared up and spoiled on his mother's apron strings.
Well then, gentlemen, the first thing I have to inform you is you won't reach Mr. Hardcastle's house this night, I believe.
Oh, unfortunate.
It's a damn long, dark, boggy, dirty, dangerous way. Stingo, tell the gentleman the way to Mr. Hardcastle's house. Mr. Hardcastle of Quagmire Marsh, you understand me?
Mr. Hardcastle's? Oh, lock of daisy, me masters, you've come a deadly deal wrong. When you came to the bottom of the hill, you were to cross down Squash Lane.
Cross down Squash Lane.
Then you were to keep straight forward till you came to 4 roads.
Come to where 4 roads meet.
Aye, but you must be sure to take only one of them.
Oh, Sally, you're facetious.
And then, going to the right, you're to go sideways, till you come upon Cracked Skull Common. There, you must look sharp for the track of the wheel. Go forward till you find out Farmer Moraine's barn. Reaching the farmer's barn, you're to turn to the right, and then to the left, and then to the right about again, until you come upon the old mill.
Zoom, man! We could soon find out the longitude.
What's to be done, Marlowe?
This house promises but a poor reception. However, perhaps the landlady can accommodate us?
And like masters, we have but one spare bed in the whole house.
Oh, and to my knowledge, that's taken up by 3 lodgers already. Oh, have it. Stino, do you not think you might be able to accommodate the gentleman by the fireside with 3 chairs and a bolster?
I hate sleeping by the fireside.
And I detest your 3 chairs and a bolster.
Oh, you do you? Well, let me see. Oh, what if you were to go a mile further on? To the Buck's Head. The old Buck's Head on the hill. It's one of the finest inns in the whole county.
Yeah. We've escaped an adventure for this night, however.
Sure, you're not sending them to your father's as an inn, are you?
Oh, you fool you. Let them find that out. You've only to go straight forward till you see a large old house by the roadside. You'll see a pair of large horns above the door. That's the sign. Ride up the yard and call stoutly about you.
Sir, we are obliged to you. The servants can't miss the way.
Oh, no. But I must tell you, though, the landlord is rich, and he's going to leave off business, so he wants to be thought a gentleman, saving your presence, of course. He'll be for giving you his company, and if you mind him, he'll persuade you that his mother was an alderman and his aunt a justice of the peace.
A troublesome old blade, to be sure, but I keeps as good wines and beds as any in the whole country.
Well, if it supplies us with these, we shall want no further connection. We are to turn to the right, do you say?
No, straight forward. I'll just step myself and show you a piece of the way.
Bless your heart for a sweet, pleasant, damn mischievous son of a whore.
Mum!
Perfect in the table exercise I've been teaching you these 3 days. You all know your posts and your places and can show that you have been used to good company without ever stirring from home.
Aye.
Now, when company comes, you're not to pop out and stare and then run in again like frightened rabbits in a warren.
No.
You, Diggory, whom I have taken from the barn, are to make a show at the side table. And you, Dorcas, whom I have advanced from the dairy, are to place yourself behind my chair. But you're not to stand so with your hands in your pockets. Take your hands from your pockets. Dorcas. That's good. And from your head, you blockhead you. See how Diggory carries his hands. They're a little too stiff, indeed, but that's no great matter.
Aye, mind how I hold them. Alan told me hands this way when I was upon drill for the militia, and so, being upon
You must not be so talkative, Diggory. You must be all attention to the guests. You must hear us talk, but not think of talking. You must see us drink, and not think of drinking. You must see us eat, but not think of eating.
By the Lord's our worship, that's perfectly impossible. Whenever Diggory sees eating going forward, God, he's always wishing for a mouthful, he said.
Blockhead, it's not a bellyful in the kitchen, as good as a bellyful in the parlour. Stay your stomach with that reflection.
I thank your worship, I'll make shift to stay my stomach with a slice of cold beef in the pantry.
You must not be so talkative, Diggory. Now, if I happen to say a good thing, or tell a good story at table, you must not all burst out a-laughing as if you made part of the company.
God, your worship, you must not tell the story of all the grouse in the gun room. I can't help laughing at that. Oh, the soul of me. We've laughed at
7 years. The story is a good one. Well, honest Diggory, you may laugh at that, but still remember to be attentive. Now, suppose one of the company should ask for a glass of wine. How will you behave? A glass of wine, sir, if you please? Why don't you
the table that I'm as bothered as a lion.
Oh, numbskull. Will nobody move?
I am not to move from this place.
I'm sure it's no place of mine.
Not my fault, then.
Woman's, I'm sure it can't be mine.
Oh, you numbskull. So while like your betters you are quarrelling for places, the guests must be starved. You dunces, I find I must begin all over again. But don't I hear a coach driving to the yard? To your posts, you blockheads! I'll go in the meantime and give my old friend's son a hearty reception at the gate.
By the heavens, man, they've gone quite out of ears.
Where the devil is man?
My place is to be nowhere at all. Best be about my business.
Welcome, gentlemen. Very welcome. This way.
After the disappointments of the day, welcome once more, Charles, to the comforts of a clean room and a good fire. Upon my word, a very well-looking house, antique, but creditable.
The usual fate of a large mansion, having first ruined its master through good housekeeping, and at last falls to levy contributions as an inn.
As you say, we passengers are to be taxed to pay all these fineries. I've often seen a good sideboard or a marble chimney-piece, though not actually put in the bill, inflame a reckoning confoundedly.
Traveller's George was paying all places. The only difference is that in good inns, one pays dearly for luxuries. Bad inns, one is fleeced and starved.
You have lived very much among them. In truth, I have been often surprised that you, who have seen so much of the world, with your natural good sense and your many opportunities, have never yet acquire a requisite share of assurance.
The Englishman's vanity. But tell me, George, where should I have learned this assurance you talk of? My life has been chiefly spent in a college or an inn, in seclusion from that lovely part of the humanity that chiefly teach man confidence. I don't know that I was ever familiarly acquainted with a single modest woman, except my mother. But, among females of a different class, you know?
Aye, among them you're impudent enough of all conscience.
They are of us, you know.
But in the company of women of reputation, I never saw such an idiot. Such a trembler. You look for all the world as if you wanted an opportunity of stealing out of the room.
Why, man, that's because I do want to steal out of the room. Faith, I've often formed a resolution to break the ice and rattle away at any rate. But I don't know how. A single glance from a pair of fine eyes has totally overset my resolution. An impudent fellow may counterfeit modesty, but I'll be hanged if a modest man can ever counterfeit impudence.
If you could but say half the fine thing to them that I've heard you lavish upon the barmaid of an inn, or even a college bedmaker.
Why, George, I can't say fine things to them. They freeze. They petrify me. They may talk of a comet or a burning mountain or some such bagatelle. But to me, a modest woman dressed in all her finery is the most tremendous object of the whole creation.
At this rate, man, how can you ever expect to marry?
Never. Unless, as among kings and princes, my bride were to be courted by proxy. If, indeed, like an Eastern bridegroom, one were to be presented with a wife he never saw before, it might be endured. But to go through all the terrors of a formal courtship, along with the episodes of aunts and grandmothers, cousins, and at last to blurt out the broad-staring question of, "Madam, will you marry me?" No, that's a strayed much above me, I assure you.
I pity you. But, tell me, how do you intend behaving to the lady you are come down to meet, at the request of your father?
As I behave to all of the ladies. Bow very low. Answer yes or no to all her demands. As for the rest, I doubt I shall venture to look in her face until I see my father's again.
I'm surprised that one who is so warm a friend can be so cool a lover.
To be expected, my dear Hastings, my chief inducement down was to be instrumental in forwarding your happiness, not my own. Miss Neville loves you. The family don't know you. As my friend, you're sure of a reception. Let honour to the rest.
My dear Marlowe, but I'll suppress the emotion. Were I a wretch, meanly seeking to carry off a fortune, you should be the last man in the world I would apply to for assistance. But Miss Neville's person is all I ask, and that is mine, both from her deceased father's consent and her own inclination.
Happy man, your talents and arts enough to captivate any woman. I'm doomed to adore the sex and yet to converse with only part of it I despise. This stammer in my address and this awkward, prepossessing visage of mine will never permit me to soar above the reach of a milliner's apprentice or one of the duchesses of Drury Lane. This fellow here to interrupt us.
Gentlemen, once more you are heartily welcome. Which is Mr. Marlowe? Sir, you are heartily welcome. It's not my way, you see, to receive my guests with my back to the fire. I like to give them a hearty reception in the old style at my gate. I like to see their horses and trunks taken care of.
He's got our names from the servants already. Sir, we salute your caution and hospitality. I've been thinking, George, about changing our travelling dresses in the morning. I've grown confoundedly ashamed of mine.
Oh, I beg, Mr. Barlow, you will use no ceremony in this house.
I fancy that, Charles, you're right. The first blow is half the battle. I intend opening the campaign with the white and gold.
Mr. Marlowe, Mr. Hastings, gentlemen, pray be under no constraint in this house. This is Liberty Hall, gentlemen. You may do just as you please here.
And yet, George, if we open the campaign too fiercely at first, we may want ammunition before it is over. I think to reserve the embroidery to secure a retreat.
Ooh, you're talking of a retreat, Mr. Marlowe. Puts me in mind of the Duke of Marlborough when we went to besiege Dunayne. He first summoned the garrison.
Don't you think the Vaughan's door waistcoat will do with a plain brow?
He first summoned the garrison, which might consist of about 5,000 men.
I think not. Brown and yellow mix but very poorly.
I say, gentlemen, as I was telling you, he summoned the garrison, which might consist of about 5,000 men.
The girls like finery.
Which might consist of about 5,000 men, well appointed with stores, ammunition, and other implements of war. Now, says the Duke of Marlborough to George Brooks, that stood next to him, you must have heard of George Brooks. I pawn my dukedom, says he, but I take that garrison without spilling a drop of blood. So,
What, my good friend, if you gave us a glass of punch in the meantime? It was to help us to carry on the siege with vigour.
punch, sir? This is the most unaccountable kind of modesty I ever met with.
Yes, sir. Punch. A glass of warm punch after our journey will be comfortable. This is Liberty Hall, you know.
Here's a cup, sir.
So this fellow in his Liberty Hall will only let us have just what he pleases.
You can find it to your mind. I have prepared it with my own hands, and I believe you know the ingredients are tolerable. Will you be so good as to pledge me, sir? Here, Mr. Marlowe, here's to our better acquaintance.
A very impudent fellow, this. There's a carrot, and I'll humour him a little. Sir, my service.
I see this fellow wants to give us his company and forgets that he's an innkeeper before he has learned to be a gentleman.
From the excellence of your cup, my old friend, I suppose you have a lot of business at this part of the country. War work now and then, at elections, I suppose.
Oh, no, sir. No, I've long given that work over. Since our betters have taken upon the expedient of electing each other, there is no business for us that sell ale.
So then, you have no turn for politics, I find.
Oh, none in the least. No, there was a time, indeed. I fretted myself about the mistakes of government like other people. But finding myself every day growing more angry and government growing no better, I left it to mend itself. Sir, my service to you.
So that with the eating above stairs and drinking below, with receiving your friends within and amusing them without, you lead a good, pleasant, bustling life of it.
I do stir about a great deal, that's certain. Half the differences of the parish are adjusted in this very parlour.
And you have an excellence in your cup, old gentleman, better than any in Westminster Hall.
Young gentleman, that and a little philosophy.
This is the first time I ever heard of an innkeeper's philosophy.
So then, like an experienced general, you attack them on every quarter. If you find their reason manageable, you attack it with your philosophy. If you find they have no reason, you attack them with this. Here's your health, my philosopher.
Good, very good. Thank you. Yes, your generalship puts me in mind of Prince Eugene when he fought the Turks at the Battle of Belgrade. You shall hear.
Instead of the Battle of Belgrade, I believe it's about time to start talking about supper. What is your philosophy on the house for supper?
Supper, sir? Was ever such a request to a man in his own house?
Yes, sir. Supper, sir. I begin to feel an appetite. I shall make devilish work tonight in the larder, I promise you.
Such a brazen dog should ever my eyes beheld. Really, sir, as for supper, I can't well tell. I mean, my Dorothy and the cookmaid settle these things between them. I leave these kind of things entirely to them.
You do you?
Entirely. And by the by, I believe they are in actual consultation upon what's for supper this moment in the kitchen.
Then I beg they'll admit me as one of their privy council. It's a way I have got. Whenever I travel, I always choose to regulate my own supper. Let the cook be called. No offence, I hope so.
No, sir. Not in the least. Yet I don't know how. Our Bridget, the cookmaid, is not very communicative upon these occasions. Should we send for her? She might scold us all out of the house.
Let's see your list of the larder, then. I ask it as a favour. I always match my appetite to my bill of fare.
Sir, he's very right. It's my way too.
Oh, well, sir, you have a right to command here. Now, here, Dorcas! Bring us the bill of fare for tonight's supper. I believe it's drawn out. Your manner, Mr. Hastings, puts me in mind of my uncle, Colonel Wallop. It was a saying of his that no man was sure of his supper till he had eaten it.
On the high road, is uncle a colonel? We shall soon hear of his private. Really? Let's hear the bill of fare.
What's here? For the first course, for the second course, for the dessert. The devil, sir! Do you think we've brought down a whole joiners' company, the Corporation of Bedford, for such a supper? 2 or 3 little things, clean and comfortable, will do.
But let's hear it.
For the first course at the top, a pig and prune sauce.
Oh, damn your pig, I say.
Damn your prune sauce, say I.
Oh, yes, gentlemen, to men that are hungry, a pig with prune sauce is very good eating.
At the bottom, a calf's tongue and brain.
Let your brains be knocked out, my good sir. I don't like them.
Or you may cap them by themselves on a plate, either.
That impudence confounds me. Gentlemen, you are my guests. Make what alterations you please. Is there anything else you wish to retrench or alter, gentlemen?
Item: a pork pie, a boiled rabbit and sausages, a florentine, a shaking pudding, an additive taffy cream.
Confound your maid's dishes. I shall be as much at a loss in this house as at a green and yellow dinner at the French ambassador's table. And for plain eating.
Gentlemen, I'm sorry that I have nothing you like, but if there be anything that you have a particular fancy to...
Really, sir, your bill of fare is so exquisite that any one part of it is full as good as another. Send us what you please. So much for supper. Now to see that our beds are aired and properly taken care of.
Oh, I entreat you, leave that to me. You shall not stir a step.
To leave that to you? I protest, my good sir. I always look to these things myself.
I must insist, sir. Make yourself easy on that head.
Oh, you see I'm resolved on it. A very troublesome fellow this, as ever I met with.
Well, sir, at least I'm resolved to attend you. This may be modern modesty, but I never saw anything look so like old-fashioned impudence.
So I find this fellow's civilities begin to grow troublesome. But who can be angry at those assiduities which are meant to please him? What do I see? Miss Neville, by all that's happy.
My dear Hastings, to what unexpected good fortune, to what accident am I to ascribe this happy meeting?
Or rather, let me ask the same question, as I could never have hoped to meet my dearest Constance at an inn.
An inn? Sure you mistake. My aunt, my guardian, lives here. What could induce you to think this house an inn?
My friend, Mr. Marlowe, with whom I came down, and I have been sent here as to an inn, I assure you. A fellow whom we accidentally met at a house hard by directed us hither.
Certainly, it must be one of my hopeful cousin's tricks of whom you've heard me talk so often.
He whom your aunt intends for you, he of whom I have such just apprehensions.
You have nothing to fear from him, I assure you. You'd adore him if you knew how heartily he despises me. My aunt knows it too, and has undertaken to court me for him, and actually begins to think she has made a conquest.
Thou dear dissembler. You must know, my Constance, I have just seized this happy opportunity of my friend's visit here to get admittance into the family. The horses that carried us down are now fatigued with their journey, but they'll soon be refreshed. And then, if my dearest girl will trust in her faithful Hastings, we shall soon be landed in France, where even among slaves the laws of marriage are respected.
I have often told you that though ready to obey you, I yet should leave my little fortune behind with reluctance. The greatest part of it was left me by my uncle, the India director, and chiefly consists in jewels. I have been for some time persuading my aunt to let me wear them. I fancy I'm very near succeeding. The instant they are put into my possession, you shall find me ready to make them, and myself, yours.
Perish the baubles. Your person is all I desire. In the meantime, my friend Marlowe must not be let into his mistake. I know the strange reserve of his temper is such that if abruptly informed of it, he would instantly quit the house, before our plan was ripe for execution.
But how shall we keep him in the deception? Miss Hardcastle is just returned from walking. What if we still continue to deceive him? This way.
The assiduity of these good people tease me beyond bearing. My host seemed to think it ill manners to leave me alone. So he claps not only himself, but his old-fashioned wife on my back. They talk of coming to sup with us too. And then I suppose we'll have to run the gauntlet for all the rest of the family. What's here?
My dear Charles, let me congratulate you. The most fortunate accident. Who do you think is just alighted?
Cannot guess.
Our mistress's boy, Miss Hardcastle and Miss Neville. Give me leave to introduce Miss Constance Neville to your acquaintance. Happening to dine in the neighbourhood, they called on their return to take fresh horses here. Miss Hardcastle has just stepped into the next room and will be back in an instant. Wasn't it lucky, eh?
I've been mortified enough of all conscience, and here comes something to complete my embarrassment.
Well, but wasn't it the most fortunate thing in the world?
Yes! Ha! Very fortunate. A most joyful encounter. Oh, but our dresses, George. You know are in disorder. What if we should postpone the happiness till tomorrow? Tomorrow, at her own house. It will be every bit as convenient, and rather more respectful. Tomorrow, let it be.
By no means, sir. Your ceremony will displease her. The disorder of your dress will show the ardour of your impatience. Besides, she knows you're in the house and will permit you to see her.
Oh, the devil! How shall I support it? Hastings, you must not go. You are to assist me, you know. I should be damnably ridiculous. Yet, hang it. I'll take courage.
It's but the first plunge and all's over. She's but a woman, you know.
And of all women, she that I most dread to encounter.
Miss Hardcastle, Mr. Marlowe, I'm proud of bringing two persons of such merit together that only want to know, to esteem each other.
Now for meeting my modest gentleman with a demure face and quite in his own manner. I'm glad of your safe arrival, sir. I'm told you had some accidents by the way.
Only a few, madam. Yes, we had some. Yes, a great many accidents, madam. Which should be sorry, madam. Or rather, glad of any accidents that are so agreeably concluded.
You never spoke better in your whole life. Keep it up and I'll ensure you the victory.
I'm afraid you flatter, sir. You that have seen so much of the finest company can find little entertainment in an obscure corner of the country.
I have lived, indeed, in the world, madam, but I have kept very little company. I've been more an observer of life, while others were enjoying it.
But that, I am told, is the way to enjoy it at last.
Cicero never spoke better. Once more and you're confirmed in assurance forever.
Stand by me then, and when I'm down, throw in a word or two to set me up again.
An observer like you upon life were, I fear, disagreeably employed, since you must have had much more to censure than to approve.
Pardon me, madam. I was always willing to be amused. The folly of most people is rather an object of mirth than uneasiness.
Bravo, bravo. Never spoke better in your whole life. Well, Miss Hardcastle, I see that you and Mr. Marlowe are going to be very good company. I believe our being here will but embarrass the interview.
Oh, not in the least, Mr. Hastings. We like your company of all things. Zoons, George, surely you won't go. How can you leave us?
Our presence will but spoil conversation, so we'll retire to the next room. You don't consider, man, that we are to manage a little tete-a-tete of our own?
But you have not been wholly an observer, I presume, sir. The ladies, I should hope, have employed some part of your addresses.
Pardon me, madam. I have as yet studied only to deserve.
And that, some say, is the very worst way to obtain them.
Perhaps so, madam. But I prefer to converse only with the more grave and sensible part of the sex. But I'm sure I tire.
Not at all, sir. There's nothing I like so much as grave conversation myself. I could hear it forever. Indeed, I have often been surprised how a man of sentiment could ever admire those light, airy pleasures where nothing reaches the heart.
It's a disease of the mind, madam. In the variety of taste, there must be some who, wanting a relish for...
I understand you, sir. There must be some who, wanting a relish for refined pleasures, pretend to despise what they are incapable of tasting.
My meaning, madam, but infinitely better expressed. And I can't help observing...
Who could ever suppose this fellow impudent upon some occasions? You were going to observe, sir.
I was observing, madam. I protest, madam. I forget what I was going to observe.
Oh, I vow, and so do I. You were observing, sir, that in this age of hypocrisy, something about hypocrisy, sir?
Yes, madam. In this age of hypocrisy, there are few who do not strict inquiry.
I understand you perfectly, sir.
Egad, that's more than I do myself.
You mean that in this hypocritical age, there are few that do not condemn in public what they practice in private, and think they pay every debt to virtue when they praise it.
True, madam. Those that have most virtue in their mouths often have least of it in their bosoms. But I'm sure I tire you.
Not in the least, sir. There's something so agreeable and spirited in your manner. Such life and force. Pray, sir, go on.
Yes, madam. There are certain occasions when a total want of courage destroys all that and puts us upon a...
I agree with you entirely. A want of courage upon some occasions assumes the appearance of ignorance and betrays us when we most want to excel. I beg you'll proceed.
Yes, madam. Morally speaking, madam? Oh, but I see Miss Neville expects us in the next room. I could not intrude for the world.
I protest, sir. I never was more agreeably entertained in all my life. Pray go on.
Yes, madam. Oh, but she beckons us to join her. Shall I do myself the honour to attend you?
Well, then I'll follow.
This pretty smooth dialogue is done for me.
Was there ever such a sober, sentimental interview? I'm sure he scarce looked in my face the whole time. Yet the fellow, but for his unaccountable bashfulness, is pretty well, too. He has good sense, but then so buried in his fears that it fatigues one more than ignorance. If I could teach him a little confidence, it would be doing somebody that I know of a piece of service. But who is that somebody? That, Faith, is a question I can scarce answer.
What do you follow me for, Cousin Con? Oh, I wonder you're not ashamed to be so very engaging.
I hope, cousin, one may speak to one's own relations and not be to blame.
Aye, but I know what sort of relation you want to make me, and it won't do. I tell you, Cousin Con, it won't do. So I beg you, keep your distance. I want no nearer relationship.
Hey, Val, Mr. Hastings, you're very entertaining. There is nothing in the world I love to talk of more than London and the Farshans. They never was there myself.
Never there? You amaze me. From your air and manner, I concluded you had been bred all your life either at Ranelagh, St. James's, or Tower Wharf.
You're only pleased to say so. Oh, we country persons can have no manner at all. Now, I'm in love with the town, and that serves to raise me above some of our neighbouring rustics. But who can have a manor that has never seen the Pantheon, the Grotto Gardens, the Borough, or such places the nobility chiefly resort? All I can do is to enjoy London at second hand. I take care to know every tete-a-tete from the scandalous magazines. And I have all the Farshans as they come out in a letter from the two Miss Ricketts of Crooked Lane. Pray, how do you like this head, Mr. Hastings?
Extremely elegant and dégagé, upon my word, madam. Your friseur is a Frenchman, I suppose.
I protest. I dressed it myself from a print in the lady's memorandum book for the past year.
Indeed. Such a head in a side box at the playhouse would draw as many gazers as my lady mayoress at a city ball.
Val, since inoculation began, there is no such thing to be seen as a plain woman. So one must dress a little particular, or one may escape in the crowd.
But that can never be your case, madam, in any dress.
Oh, yeah, what signifies my dressing when I have such a piece of antiquity by my side as Mr. Hardcastle? All I can say will never argue down a single button from his clothes. I have often wanted him to throw off his great flaxen wig, and where he was bald, to plaster it over with powder, like my Lord Pateley.
You are right, madam. For as among the ladies there are none ugly, so among the men there are none old.
What do you think his answer was? Why, with his usual Gothic vivacity, he said I only wanted him to throw off his wig to convert it into a tap for my own wearing.
Intolerable. At your age, you may wear what you please, and it must become.
Pray, Mr. Hastings, what do you take to be the most fashionable age about town?
Some time ago, 40 was all the mode. But I'm told the ladies intend to bring up 50 for the ensuing winter.
They should be too young for the fashions.
No lady now begins to put on jewels till she's past 40. For instance, Miss there, in a polite circle, would be regarded as a child, as a mere maker of samplers.
Oh, yeah, Mrs. Niece thinks herself as much a woman and is as fond of jewels as the oldest of us all.
Your niece, is she? And the gentleman, a brother of yours, I should suppose.
He's my son, sir. They are contracted to each other. Observe their little sports. They fall in and out 10 times a day as though they were man and wife already. Why, Tony, what soft things are you saying to your cousin Constance this evening?
Hey, I've been saying no soft things, except how hard it is to be followed about so. I haven't a place to myself left in the house now but the stables.
Take no notice of him, Conrad here. He's in another story behind your back.
There's something generous in my cousin's manner. He falls out before faces to be forgiven in private.
That's a damn confounded crack.
He's a sly one. Don't you think they look like each other around the mouth, Mr. Hastings? The blinking's on mouth to a T. They're of a size too. Come, my pretties, back to back, so that Mr. Hastings may see you. Come, Tony.
He does good not affect me, I tell you.
Oh, Lord, he's almost cracked my head.
Tony, for shame, you monster. You a man and behave so.
If I'm a man, let me have me 14. He could have. I'll not be made a fool of no longer.
Is this ungrateful boy all I am to get from the pains I have taken in your education? I that have rocked you in your cradle and fed you out with a spoon. Did not I work that waistcoat to make you gentil? Did not I prescribe for you every day and wait while the dosage was operating?
Aye, he had every reason to weep. For you've been dosing me ever since I was born. I've been through every receipt in the Complete Housewife 10 times over. And you had thoughts of coursing me through Quincy this spring. I tell you, I'll not be made a fool of no longer.
Wasn't it all for your good, Viper? Wasn't it all for your good?
I wish you let me and my good alone then, instead of snubbing me this way when I'm in spirits. If I'm to have any good, let it come of itself, not to keep digging it into one's soul.
That's false, Tony. I'll never see you when you're in spirits. No, then you go to the alehouse or the kennel. I'm never to be delighted by your agreeable wild nose. Unfeeling monster.
Hey, cod, Mamma. Your own notes are the wildest of the two.
Oh, as ever the like. See, he wants to break my heart. I see, he does.
Dear madam, permit me to lecture the gentleman a little. I'm certain I can persuade him to his duty.
Well, I must retire. Come, Constance. You see, Mr. Hastings, the wretchedness of my situation. Was ever a poor woman so plagued by such a girl, sweet, pretty, provoking, undutiful boy?
Hey, was a young man riding by, and fain would have his will. Rang, oh, don't mind her. Let her cry. It's the comfort of her heart. I've seen her and sister cry over a book an hour together. And they said they liked the book the better the more it made him cry.
Then you're no friend to the ladies, I find, good sir.
So as I find them.
Not to her of your mother's choosing, I dare answer. Yet she appears to me a pretty well-tempered girl.
That's because you don't know her as well as I do. I know every inch about her, and they're into more bitter, cantankerous toad in all Christendom.
Pretty encouragement this for a lover.
I've seen her since the height of that, and she's as many tricks as a hare in a thicket, or a colt the first day's breaking.
To me she appears sensible and silent.
So aye, before company. But when she's with a playmate, she's as loud as a hog in a gate.
But there is a meek modesty about her that charms me.
Yeah, but curb her never so little. She kicks up and you're flung in a ditch.
Well, but you must allow her a little beauty. Yes, you must allow her some beauty.
Bam, box. She's all a made-up thing, Mum. Now, could you see Bet Bouncer of these parts? Then you might talk of beauty. Oh, ecod, she's two eyes as black as sloes and cheeks as broad and red as a pulpy cushion. She'd make two a she.
Well, what say you to a friend that would take this bitter bargain off your hands?
Anon.
Would you thank him that would take Miss Neville and leave you to happiness and your dear Betsy?
But where is there such a friend? For who'll take her?
I am he. If you'll but assist me, I'll engage to whip her off to France, and you shall never hear more of her.
Assist you? Oh, if God I will, to the last drop of me blood. I'll clap a pair of horses to your chase that'll trundle you off in a twinkling, and
May get you a part of her fortune besides, in jewels you little dream of.
My dear squire, this looks like a lad of spirit.
Then come along, and you shall see more of my spirit before you're done with me. We are the boys that fear no noise, where the thundering cannons are roar.
What could my old friend Sir Charles mean by recommending his son as the modestest young man in town? To me, he appears the most impudent piece of brass that ever spoke with a tongue. He's taken possession of the easy chair by the fireside already. He took off his boots in the parlour and desired me to see them taken care of. I'm desirous to know how his impudence affects my daughter. She will certainly be shocked at it. Oh, well, my Kate, I see you have changed your dress, as I bade you, and yet I believe there was no great occasion.
I find such a pleasure, sir, in obeying your commands, that I take care to observe them without ever debating their propriety.
And yet, Kate, I sometimes give you some cause, particularly when I recommended my modest gentleman to you as a lover today.
You told me to expect something extraordinary, and I find the original exceeds the description.
I was never so surprised in my life. He has quite confounded all my faculties.
I never saw anything like it, and a man of the world, too.
Ah, he learnt it all abroad. What a fool was I to think a man could learn modesty by travelling. He might as soon learn wit at a masquerade.
It seems all natural to him.
A good deal assisted by bad company and a French dancing master.
Sure you mistake, Papa. A French dancing master could never have taught him that timid look, that awkward address, that bashful manner.
Whose look? Whose manner, child?
Mr. Marlowe's. His mauvaise aunt, his timidity struck me at first sight.
Well, then your first sight deceived you, for I think him one of the most brazen first sights that ever astonished my senses.
Oh, sir, you rally. I never saw anyone so modest.
Can you be serious? I never saw such a bouncing, swaggering puppy since I was born. Bully Dawson was but a fool to him.
Surprising. He met me with a respectful bow, a stammering voice, and a look fixed on the ground.
He met me with a loud voice, a lordly air, and a familiarity that made my blood freeze again.
He treated me with diffidence and respect, censured the manners of the age, admired the prudence of girls that never laughed, tired me with apologies for being tiresome, then left the room with a bow and madam, would not for the world did it.
He spoke to me as if he knew me all his life before. Asked 20 questions and never waited for an answer. Interrupted my best remarks with some silly pun. And when I was in my best story of Prince Eugene and the Duke of Marlborough, he asked if I had not a good hand at making punch. Yes, Kate? He asked your father if he was a maker of punch.
One of us must certainly be mistaken.
Well, if he be what he has shown himself, I'm determined he shall never have my consent.
And if he did a sullen thing, I take him. He shall never have mine.
In one thing, then, we are agreed. To reject him.
Yes, but upon conditions. For if you should find him less impudent, and I more presuming, if you find him more respectful, and I more importunate, well, I don't know. The fellow is well enough for a man. Certainly we don't meet many such at a horse race in the country.
Well, if we should find him so. But that's impossible. The first appearance has done my business. I'm seldom deceived in that.
Yet there may be many good qualities under that first appearance.
Aye. When a girl finds a fellow's outside to her taste, she then sets about guessing the rest of his furniture. Yes. With her, a smooth face stands for good sense, and a genteel figure for every virtue.
I hope, sir, that a conversation begun with a compliment to my good sense won't end with a sneer at my understanding.
Pardon me, Kate. But if young Mr. Marlowe, Mr. Brazen, can find the art of reconciling contradictions, he may please us both, perhaps.
And as one of us must be mistaken, what if we go to make further discoveries?
Agreed. But dependant, I'm in the right.
And dependant, I'm not much in the wrong.
He comes. I've got 'em. Here they are. Cousin Con's necklaces, bobs and all. Mother shan't cheat the poor souls out of their fortune either. Oh, my Genus, is that you?
My dear friend, how have you managed with your mother? I hope that you have amused her with pretending love for your cousin, and that you are willing to be reconciled at last. Our horses will be refreshed in a short time, and we shall soon be ready to set off.
And here's something to bear your charges, by the way. Your sweetheart's jewels. Keep 'em. And I'm those, I say, that would rob you of one of them.
But how have you procured them from your mother?
Ask me no questions and I'll tell you no fibs. I procured them by rule of thumb. If I'd not a key to every drawer in Mother's bureau, how could I go to the alehouse so often as I do? An honest man may rob himself of his own at any time.
Thousands do it every day. But, to be plain with you, Miss Neville is endeavouring to procure them from her aunt this very instant. If she succeeds, it will be the most delicate way at least of obtaining them.
Keep 'em till you know how it'll be. But I know how it'll be well enough. She'd as soon part with the only sound tooth in her head.
But I dread the effects of her resentment when she finds she has lost them.
And never you mind her resentment. Let me manage that. I don't value her resentment the bounce of a cracker. Oh, zoons, here she comes. Maurice, France.
Indeed, Constance, you amaze me. Such a girl as you want jewels. There will be time enough for jewels, my dear, 20 years hence, when your beauty begins to want repairs.
But what will repair beauty at 40 will certainly improve it at 20, madam.
Yours, my dear, can admit of none. That natural blush is beyond 1,000 ornaments. Besides, child, jewels are quite out at present. Don't you see half the ladies of our acquaintance? My Lady Kildaylight, Mrs. Crump and the rest of them, they carry their jewels to town and bring nothing but paste and moccasins back.
But who knows, madam, but somebody, that shall be nameless, would like me best with all my little finery about me.
Consult your glass, my dear, and then see if with such a pair of eyes you could wish for any better sparklers. What do you think, Tony, child? Does your cousin Constance need jewels in your eyes to set off her beauty?
And that's just there after me.
My dear aunt, if you knew how it would oblige me.
A parcel of old-fashioned rose and table cuffings will make you look like the court of King Solomon at a puppet show. Besides, child, I can't readily come at them. They may be missing for aught I know to the contrary.
Then why don't you tell her so at once? Seeing as she's so longing for them, tell her they're lost. It's the only way to quiet her.
Huh?
Say they're lost and call me to bear witness.
You know, Tony, I am only keeping them for you, so if I say they're missing, you'll bear me witness, eh?
Never fear me, because I'll say I saw them taken out with my own eyes.
I desire them but for a day, madam, just to be permitted to show them as relics, and then they may be locked up again.
Well, to be plain with you, my dear Constance, if I could find them, you should have them. They're missing, I assure you. Lost for aught I know to the contrary. But we must have patience wherever they are.
I'll not believe it. This is but a shallow pretence to deny me. I know they are too valuable to be so slightly kept, and as you are to answer for the loss.
Don't be alarmed, Constance. If they are missing, then I am to restore
That I can bear witness to. The missing and not to be found, I'll take my oath on it.
You must learn resignation, my dear, for though we lose our fortune, we should not lose our patience. See me, how calm I am.
Aye, people are generally calm at the misfortunes of others.
Now, I wonder, a girl of your good sense should lose a thought on such trumpery. We shall find her. And in the meantime, you can make use of my garnets till your jewels be found.
I detest garnets.
The most becoming thing in the world to set off a clear complexion. You have often seen how well they look upon me. You shall have them.
I dislike them of all things. You shan't stir. Was ever anything so provoking to mislay my own jewels and force me to wear her trumpery?
Don't be a fool. If she gives you the garnet, take what you can get. The jewels are your own already. I've stolen them from a bureau, and she doesn't know it. Fly to your spark. He'll tell you more of the matter. Leave me to manage her.
My dear cousin.
Oh. Vanish? Oh, here she comes, and she's missed them already. Oh, zooms out, she fidgets and spits them out like a Catherine wheel. Oh.
Confusion! Thieves! Robbers! We are cheated! Plundered! Broke open! Undone!
Oh, what's the matter? What's the matter, dear Mama? I hope nothing has happened to any of the good family.
We are robbed! My bureau has been broke open, the jewels taken out, and I am undone!
Is that all? By the laws, Mother, I never saw it better acted in my life. Thought he was ruined in earnest.
My boy, I am ruined in earnest. My bureau has been broke open, all taken away.
Aye, stick to that, stick to that. You can call me to bear witness. I'll bear witness, you know.
Oh, dearest Tony, by all that's precious, the jewels are gone, and I shall be ruined forever.
Sure, I know they are gone, and I am to say so.
Oh, dearest Tony, but hear me, they are gone, I say.
By the laws, Mama, you make me for to laugh, and I know who took them well enough.
Oh, was ever there such a blockhead that cannot tell the difference between jest and earnest? I tell you, I am not in jest, booby.
Aye, that's right, that's right. You must be in a bitter passion, then nobody will suspect either of us. I'll bear witness that they're gone.
Oh, was ever there such a cross-grained brute that will not hear me? Was ever poor woman so beset with fools on one hand and thieves on another?
I can bear witness to that.
Oh, bear witness again, you blockhead, and I'll turn you out of this room directly. My poor niece, what's to become of her? You unfeeling monster, as if you enjoy my distress.
Oh, I can bear witness to that.
Oh, I'll teach you to vex your mother.
Oh, I can bear witness to that.
What an unaccountable creature is that brother of mine to send them to the house as to an inn. I don't wonder at his impudence.
But what is more, madam, the young gentleman, as you passed by in your present dress, asked me if you were the barmaid. He mistook you for the barmaid, madam.
Did he? Then as I live, I'm resolved to keep up with the delusion. Tell me, Pimple, how do you like my present dress? Don't you think I look something like Cherry in the Beau Stratagem?
It's the dress, madam, that every lady wears in the country but when she visits or receives company.
And are you sure he does not remember my face or person?
Certainly.
I vow I thought so. Although we spoke for some time together, yet his fears were such that he never once looked up during the interview. Indeed, if he had, my bonnet would have kept him from seeing me.
But what do you hope from keeping him in his mistake?
In the first place, I shall be seen, and that's no small advantage to a girl who brings her face to market. Then I shall perhaps make an acquaintance, and that's no small victory, gained over one who never addresses any but the wildest of her sex. But my chief aim is to take my gentleman off his guard and, like an invisible champion of romance, examine the giant's force before I offer to combat.
But you are sure you can act your part and disguise your voice, so that he may mistake that, as he's already mistaken your person?
Never fear me. I think I have got the true bar cant. Did you run a call? Attend the lion there. Pipes and tobacco for the angel. The lamb has been outrageous this half hour.
It will do, madam. But he's here.
What a bawling in every part of the house. If I go to the best room, there I find my host and his story. If I fly to the gallery, there we have my hostess with her curtsy down to the ground. I've at last got a moment to myself, and now for recollection.
Did you call, sir? Did you run a call?
As for Miss Hardcastle, she's too grave and sentimental for me.
Did you run a call?
No, child. Besides, from the glimpse I had of her, I think she squints.
I'm sure, sir, I heard the bell ring.
No. I've at least pleased my father by coming down. Tomorrow I'll please myself by returning.
Perhaps the other gentleman called, sir.
I tell you no.
I should be glad to know, sir, we have such a parcel of servants.
No, I tell you. Why, yes, child. I think I did call. I wanted. I vow, child, you're vastly handsome.
Oh, la, sir, you'll make one ashamed.
Never saw a more sprightly, malicious eye. Yes, I did call. Do you have any of your, what do you call it, in the house?
No, sir, we've been out of that these 10 days.
What may call in this house I find to very little purpose. Suppose I should call for a taste, just by way of a trial, of the nectar of your lips. Perhaps I might be disappointed in that too.
Nectar. That's a liquor there's no call for in these parts. French, I suppose. We sell no French wines here, sir.
Of true English growth, I assure you.
Then it's odd I should not know it. We brew all sorts of wines in this house, and I have lived here these 18 years.
18 years? Well, one would think child you kept bar before you were born. How old are you?
Oh, sir, I must not tell my age. They say women and music should never be dated.
To get at this distance, you can't be much above 40. Yet nearer, I don't think so much. By coming close to some women, they look younger still. But when we come very close indeed...
Pray, sir, keep your distance. One would think you wanted to know one's age, as they do horses, by mouth of mouth.
I protest, child, you use me extremely ill. If you keep me at this distance, how is it possible you and I can ever be acquainted?
Well, who wants to be acquainted with you? I want no such acquaintance, not I. I'm sure you did not treat Miss Hardcastle, that was here a while ago, in this obstropolous manner. I'll warrant me, before her you looked dashed and kept bowing to the ground and talked for all the world as if you was before a justice of the peace.
Egad, she's hit it, sure enough. In awe of her child? Ha! 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 A mere awkward squinting thing? No. I find you don't know me. Oh, I laughed and ran at her a little, but I was unwilling to be too severe. No, I could never be too severe. Curse me.
Oh, then, sir, you are a favourite, I find, among the ladies.
Yes, my dear, great favourite. Although, hang me, I don't know what they've seen me to follow. In the ladies' club in town, I am called their agreeable rattle. A rattle is not my real name, child. My name is Solomons. Mr. Solomons, at your service.
Hold, sir, you are introducing me to your club, not to yourself, and you are so great a favourite there, you say.
Yes, my dear. There's Mrs. Mantrap, Lady Bessie Blackleg, Mrs. Sligo, Mrs. Langhorns, old Miss Biddy Buckskin, and your humble servant. Keep up the spirit of the place.
So this is a very merry place, I suppose.
As merry as cards, supper, wine, and old women can make us.
And their agreeable rattle.
Egad, I don't quite like this chit. She looks knowing, methinks. You laugh, child?
I can't but laugh to think what time they all have for minding their work or their family.
All's well. She don't laugh at me. Do you work, child?
Aye, sure. There's not a screen or quilt in the whole house but what can bear witness to that.
Odd so. Then you must show me your embroidery. I embroider and draw patterns myself a little. If you want to judge of your work, you must apply to me.
Aye, but the colours do not look well by candlelight. You shall see all in morning.
And why not now, my angel? Such beauty flies beyond the power of resistance. The old man here? Curse my luck. I never thought double 611s didn't follow.
So, madam, so I find this is your modest lover. This is your humble admirer that kept his eyes fixed on the ground and only adored from humble distance. Oh, Kate, how could you deceive your father so?
Never trust me, dear Papa, but he's still the modest man I first took him for. You'll be convinced of it as well as I.
Oh, by the hand of my body, I believe his impotence is infectious. Didn't I see him seize your hand? Didn't I see him haul you about like a milkmaid? But now you talk of his respect and his modesty, forsooth.
But if I can shortly convince you of his modesty, that he has only the faults that will pass off with time, and the virtues that will improve with age, I hope you'll forgive him.
The girl would actually make one run mad. I tell you, I will not be convinced. I am convinced. He has been scarce 3 hours in the house, and he's already encroached on all my prerogatives. Oh, you may like his impudence and call it modesty, but my son-in-law, madam, must have very different qualifications.
Sir, I ask but this night to convince you.
Oh, you shall not have half the time, for I thought of turning him out this very hour.
Give me that hour then, and I hope to satisfy you.
Well, let it be then. But I'll have no trifling with your father, all fair and open. Do you mind me?
I hope, sir, that you have ever found that I considered your commands as my pride. For your kindness is such that my duty as yet has been inclination.
You surprise me. Sir Charles Marlowe expected here this night. Where have you had your information?
You may depend upon it. I just saw his letter to Mr. Hardcastle, in which he tells him he intends setting out a few hours after his son.
Then, my Constance, all must be completed before he arrives. He knows me, and should he find me here, would discover my name and perhaps my designs to the rest of the family.
The jewels, I hope, are safe?
Yes, I have sent them to Marlowe, who keeps the keys of our baggage. In the meantime, I'll go to prepare matters for our elopement. And have the squire's promise of a fresh pair of horses, and if I should not see him again, will write him further directions.
Well, success attend you. In the meantime, I'll go and amuse my aunt with the old pretence of a violent passion for my cousin.
I wonder what Hastings can mean by sending me so valuable a thing as a casket, when he knows the only place I have is the seat of a post coach at an inn door. Have you deposited the casket with the landlady, as I ordered you? Have you put it into her own hands?
Oh, yes, Your Honour.
She said she'd keep it safe, did she?
She said she'd keep it safe enough. She asked me how I came by it. And she said she had a great mind to make me give an account to myself.
It's safe, however. What an unaccountable set of beings have we got amongst. This little barmaid that runs through my head most strangely and drives out the absurdities of all the rest of the family. She's mine. She must be mine. Or I'm greatly mistaken. I quite forgot to tell her I intended to prepare at the bottom of the garden.
Marlowe here, and in spirits too.
Give me joy, George. Crown me. Shadow me with laurels. Well, George, after all, we modest men don't want the success among the women.
Some women, you mean? But what success has your honour's modesty been crowned with now, that it grows so insolent upon us?
Didn't you see that tempting, brisk, lovely little thing that runs about the place with a bunch of keys to its girdle?
Well, and what then?
She's mine, you rogue. Such fire, such motion, such eyes, such lips. But egad, she would not let me kiss them, though.
But are you so sure, so very sure of her?
Why, man, she talked of showing me her work above stairs, and I am to improve the pattern.
But how could you, Charles, go about to rob a woman of her honour?
We all know the honour of a barmaid of an inn. I don't intend to rob her, take my word for it. There's nothing in this house I shan't honestly pay for.
I believe the girl has virtue.
And if she has, I should be the last man in the world to attempt to corrupt it.
You have taken care, I hope, of the casket I sent you to lock up.
Yes, it's safe enough. I've taken care of it. But how could you think the seat of a post coach at an inn door a place of safety? Numbskull! I've taken better precautions for you than you did for yourself. I have.
What?
I've sent it to the landlady to keep for you.
To the landlady?
The landlady.
You did?
I did. She used to be answerable for what's forthcoming, you know.
Yes, she'll bring it forth with a witness.
Wasn't I right? I believe you'll allow I acted prudently upon this occasion.
He must not see my uneasiness.
Sure nothing's wrong? You look troubled, methinks.
No. Never was in better spirits in all my life. So you sent it to the landlady, who, no doubt, very readily undertook the charge.
Rather too readily. For she not only kept the casket, but through a great precaution, was going to keep the messenger too.
They're safe, however.
As a guinea in a miser's purse.
So now, all hopes of fortune are at an end, and we must set off without it. Well, Charles, I'll leave you to your meditations on the pretty barmaid. And may you be as successful for yourself as you have been for me.
Thank you, George. I ask no more.
I no longer know my own house. It's turned all topsy-turvy. His servants have got drunk already. I'll bear it no longer. And yet, from my respect for his father, I'll be calm. Mr. Marlowe, your servant. I'm a very humble servant.
Your humble servant, sir. What's to be the wonder now?
I believe, sir, you must be sensible, sir, that no man alive ought to be more welcome than your father's son, sir. I hope you think so.
I do from myself, sir. I don't want much entreaty. I generally make my father's son welcome wherever he goes.
I believe you do from my soul, sir. But though I say nothing to your own conduct, that of your servants is insufferable. Their manner of drinking is setting a very bad example in this house, I assure you.
Oh, I protest, my very good sir. That's no fault of mine. If they don't drink as they ought, they are to blame. I ordered them not to spare the cellar. I did, I assure you. Here, let one of my servants come up. My positive directions were that as I did not drink myself, they were to make up for my deficiencies below.
Then they had your orders to what they do. Oh, I am satisfied.
They had, I assure you. You shall hear from one of themselves. You, Jeremy, come forward, Sirrah. What were your orders? Were you not told to drink freely and call for what you saw fit for the good of the house?
I begin to lose my patience.
Please, Your Honour, liberty and Fleet Street forever. Though I am but a servant, I'm as good as another man. I drink for no man before supper, no sir, dammy. For good liquor can sit upon a good supper, but a good supper upon my conscience, sir. Oh.
You see, my old friend, that fellow is as drunk as he can possibly be. I don't know what you have more, unless you'd have the poor devil soused in a beer barrel.
To drive me distracted if I contain myself any longer. Mr. Marlowe, sir, I have submitted to your insolence for more than 4 hours, and I see no likelihood of its coming to an end. I am now resolved to be master here, sir, and I desire that you and your drunken pack may leave my house directly.
Leave your house? Sure you jest, my good friend. What when I'm doing what I can to please you?
I tell you, you don't please me, so I desire you leave my house.
Sure you cannot be serious. At this time of night and such a night, you only need to banter me.
I tell you, I'm serious, and now that my passions are roused, I say, this house is mine, sir. This house is mine, and I command you to leave it directly.
A puddle in a storm. I shan't stir a step, I assure you. This your house, fellow? It's my house. This is my house. Mine, where I choose to stay. What right have you to bid me to leave this house, sir? I never met such impudence. Curse me. Never in my life before.
Nor I confound me if ever I did. To come to my house, to call for what he likes, to turn me out of my own chair, to insult the family, to order his servants to get drunk, and then to say, this house is mine, sir. Oh, by all the impudence, it makes me laugh. Pray, sir, as you take the house, what think you of taking the rest of the furniture? There's a silver candelabra, and there's a fire screen. Here's a pair of brazen-nosed bellows. Perhaps you may take a fancy to them.
Bring me your bill, sir. Bring me your bill, and let's make no more words about it.
There are a set of prints, too. What think you of the Rink's progress for your own apartment?
Bring me your bill, I say, and I'll leave you in the infernal house directly.
There's a mahogany table that you may see your own face in.
My bill, I say.
I had forgot the great chair for your own particular slumbers after a hearty meal.
Soon, man. Bring my bill and let's hear no more of it.
Young man, from your father's letter to me, I was taught to expect a well-bred, modest man as a visitor here, but now I find he's no better than a coxcomb and a bully. But he will be down here presently, and shall hear more of it.
What's this? Sure, I have no mistake in the house. Everything looks like an inn. The servants cry coming, the attendants too is awkward, and the barmaid too to attend us. Oh, but she's here, we'll further inform you. Oh, whither so fast, child, a word with you.
Let it be short then, I'm in a hurry. I believe he begins to find out his mistake, but it's too soon quite to undeceive him.
Pray, child, answer me one question. What may your... What the...
A relation of the family, sir.
A poor relation?
I say a poor relation, appointed to keep the keys and see that the guests want nothing in my power to give me.
That is, you act as the barmaid of this inn.
Inn? Oh no! What brought that in your head? One of the best families in the country keep an inn. Old Mr. Hardcastle's house keeps an inn.
Mr. Hardcastle's. This is Mr. Hardcastle's house.
Aye, sure. Whose else should it be?
Oh, so then all's out. I've been damnably imposed upon. Oh, confound my stupid head. I shall be laughed at over the whole town. I shall be stuck up in caricature in all the print shops. Il delussimo macaroni. To mistake this house of all others for an inn. And my father's old friend for an innkeeper. Oh. There again, may I be hanged, my dear, but I mistook you for the barmaid.
Dear me! Dear me! I'm sure there's nothing in my behaviour to put me on a level with one of that stamp.
Nothing, my dear, nothing. But I was in for a list of blunders and could not help making you a subscriber. My stupidity saw everything the wrong way. I mistook your assiduity for assurance and your simplicity for allurement. But it's over. This house I no more show my face in.
I hope, sir, that I have done nothing to disoblige you. I I'm sure I should be sorry to affront any gentleman who has been so polite and said so many civil things to me. I'm sure I should be sorry if he left the family on my account. I'm sure I should be sorry if people said anything amiss, since I have no fortune but my character.
By heaven, she weeps. This is the first mark of tenderness I ever had from a modest woman, and it touches me. Excuse me. My lovely girl, you are the only part of the family I leave with reluctance. But to be plain with you, the difference in our birth, fortune, and education make an honourable connection impossible. And I could never harbour a thought of seducing simplicity that trusted in my honour, of bringing ruin upon someone whose only fault was being too lovely.
Generous man. I now begin to admire him. But I'm sure my family is as good as Miss Hardcastle's, and though I'm poor, that's no great misfortune to a contented mind. And until this moment, I never thought that it was bad to want fortune.
And why now, my pretty simplicity?
Because it puts me at a distance from one that, if I had £1,000, I would give it all to.
This simplicity bewitches me. So if I stay, I am undone. I must make one bold effort and leave her. Your partiality in my favour, my dear, touches me most sensibly. And were I to live for myself alone, I could easily fix my choice. But I owe too much to the opinion of the world, to the authority of a father, so that I can scarcely speak it. It affects me. Farewell.
I never knew half his merit till now. He shall not go, not if I have power or art to detain him. I'll still preserve the character in which I stooped to conquer, but will undeceive my papa, who perhaps may laugh him out of his resolution.
You may steal for yourselves next time. I've done my duty. She has the jewels again, that's a sure thing, but she believes it was all a mistake of the servants.
But my dear cousin, sure you won't forsake us in this distress. If she in the least suspects that I am going off, I shall certainly be locked up or sent to my Aunt Pedigree's, which is 10 times worse.
Oh, to be sure. Aunts of all kinds are damn bad things. But what can I do? I've got you a pair of horses that'll fly like whistle jacket, and I'm sure you can't but say that I've courted you nicely before her face. Oh, here she comes. We must court a bit or two more for fear she should suspect us.
To keep her own fortune. But what do I see? Fondling together as I'm alive. Oh, never saw Tony so sprightly before. What? Did I capture my pretty? What? Billing and queuing and exchanging stolen glances and broken murmurs.
As for murmurs, mother, we grumble a little every now and then, but there's no love lost between us.
Oh, a mere sprinkling, Tony, upon the flame, only to make it burn brighter.
Cousin Tony promises to give us more of his company at home. Indeed, he shan't leave us anymore. It won't leave us, Cousin Tony, will it?
Oh, it is a pretty creature. No, I'd as soon leave me horse in a pound as leave you when you smile upon one so. Oh, your laugh is so very becoming.
Agreeable cousin. Who can help admiring that natural humour, that pleasant, broad, red, thoughtless, it's a bold face.
Pretty innocence.
I'm sure I've always loved me cousin Con's hazel eyes and her pretty long fingers that she twists this way and that over the haspicals.
Like a parcel of bobbins.
I never was so happy he would charm the bird from the tree. My boy, he's like his father, poor Mr. Lumpkin, exactly. The jewels, my dear Con, shall be yours incontinently. You shall have them. Oh, isn't he a sweet boy, my dear? You can be married tomorrow, and we'll put off the rest of his education, like Dr. Drowsy's servants, to a fitter opportunity.
Where's the squire? I've got a letter for the worship.
Oh, give it to my mamma. She reads all my letters first.
I had ordered to deliver it into our own hands.
Where's it come from?
Our worship's none has that to the letter it said.
I could wish to know, though.
Undone, undone. A letter to him from Hastings. I know the hand. If my aunt sees it, we are ruined forever. I'll keep her employed a little if I can. But I have not told you, madam, of my cousin's smart answer to Mr. Marlowe just now. We so love, you must know, madam. This way a little, for he must not hear us.
A damn cramped piece of penmanship as ever I saw in my life. I can read your print hand well enough, but here are such angles and shanks and dashes, one can scarce tell the head from the tail. To Anthony Lumpkin, Esquire. It's odd. I can read the outside of a letter where my name is well enough, but when I come to open it, it's all buzz. It's hard, very hard, for the inside of the letter is always the cream of the correspondence.
Very well, very well. So my son was too hard for the philosopher.
Yes, madam, but you must hear the rest, madam. A little this way, or he may hear us. You'll hear how he puzzled him again.
He seems strangely puzzled himself, methinks.
Ooh, a damned up and down hand as if it were disguised in liquor. Dear Sir! That's that. And then there's an S, and a T, and an M. But whether the next be an Izzard or an R, confound me, I cannot tell.
What's that, Maggie? Can I be of any assistance?
Pray, aunt, let me read it. Nobody reads a cramped hand better than I. Do you know who it is from?
Can't tell, except from Dick Ginger, the feeder.
Aye, so it is. Dear Squire, hoping you are in health, as I am at this present, the gentleman of the Shape Bag Club has cut the gentleman of Goose Green quite out of feather. The odds, odd battle, long fighting, here, it's all about cocks and fighting. It's of no consequence. Here, put it up, put it up.
But I tell you, miss, it's of all the consequence in the world. I wouldn't lose the rest of this for a guinea. Here, mamma, you make it out. Of no consequence.
What's this? Dear Squire, I am now waiting for Miss Neville with a post-chaise and pair at the bottom of the garden, but find that my horses yet are unable to perform the journey. I expect you'll assist us with a pair of fresh horses as promised. Dispatches necessary as the hag. The hag. Your mother will otherwise suspect us. Yours, Hastings. Be patient, I shall run distracted. My rage chokes me.
I hope, madam, you'll suspend your resentment for a few moments and not impute to me any impertinence or sinister design that belongs to another.
Oh, fine spoken, madam. You are most miraculously polite and engaging, and quite the very pink of courtesy and circumspection, madam. And you great ill-fashioned oaf with scarcely enough sense to keep his mouth shut, were you two joined against me? Oh, but I'll defeat your plots in an instant. Since we have a pair of fresh horses waiting, madam, it would be cruel to disappoint them. So instead of preparing to fly to your spark, prepare this very instant to run away with me. Your Aunt Pedigree will keep us secure, I'll warrant me. And you may mount your horse and guard us on the way. Here, Thomas, Dorcas, Diggory! I'll teach you, I will. wish you better than you do yourselves.
So now I'm completely ruined.
Aye, that's a sure thing.
What better could be expected from being connected with such a stupid fool?
And after all the nods and signs I made him.
By the laws, miss, it were your own cleverness and not my stupidity that did your business. You were so nice and so busy with your shake bags and your goose greens, I could never believe you were making believe.
So, sir, I find by my servant that you have shown my letter and betrayed us. Was this well done, good sir?
Here's another. You must ask Missy who betrayed you, but her doing, not mine.
Sir, I've been finely used here among you, rendered contemptible, driven into ill manners, abused, deceived, laughed at.
Oh, and here's another. We shall have all Bedlam broke loose presently.
And there, sir, is the gentleman to whom we all owe every obligation.
What can I say to him? A mere bumpkin, an idiot whose ignorance and rusticity are our protection.
A poor contemptible booby that would but disgrace correction.
Yet with cunning and malice enough to make himself merry with all our embarrassments.
An insensible cub, replete with tricks and mischief.
God damn it, I'll fight you both! One after the other with baskets.
As for him, he's below resentment. But your conduct, Mr. Hastings, requires an explanation. You knew of my mistakes, yet would not undeceive me.
Tortured as I am with my own disappointments, is this a time for explanations? It is not friendly, Mr. Marlowe.
But, sir!
Mr. Marlowe, we never kept on your mistake till it was too late to undeceive you.
My mistress desires you get ready immediately, madam. The horses are putting to. Your hat and things are in the next room. We're to go 30 miles before the morning.
Well, I'll come presently.
Was it well done, sir, to assist in rendering me ridiculous, to hang me out to the scorn of all my acquaintance? I shall expect an explanation, I assure you.
Was it well done, sir, if you're upon that subject, to deliver what I entrusted to yourself to the care of another, sir?
Mr. Hastings, Mr. Marlowe, why will you increase my distress with this groundless dispute? I implore, I entreat you.
Your cloak, madam. My mistress is impatient.
I come. Pray be pacified. If I leave you thus, I shall die with apprehension.
Your gloves, madam. The horses are waiting.
Oh, Mr. Marlowe, if you knew what a scene of constraint and ill nature lies before me, I'm sure it would convert your resentment into pity.
I'm so distracted with a variety of passions, I don't know what I do. Forgive me, madam. George, forgive me. You know of my hasty temper and should not exasperate it.
The torture of my situation is my only excuse.
Well, my dear Hastings, if you have that esteem for me that I am sure you have, your constancy for 3 years will but increase the happiness of our future connection.
Miss Neville! Constance! My Constance, I say!
I'm coming! Well, constancy, remember? Constancy is the word.
My heart. How can I support this? To be so near happiness and such happiness.
You see now, young gentlemen, the effects of your folly. What might be amusement to you is here disappointment and even distress.
Ecop, have it! It's here. Give me your hands. Yours. And yours, my poor sulky. Me boots there, ho! Meet me 2 hours hence at the bottom of the garden. And if you don't find Tony looking a more good-natured fellow than you thought for, I'll give you leave to take me best horse and bet bouncer into the bargain. Come along. Me boots there, ho!
You saw the old lady and Mrs. Miss Neville drive off, you say?
Yes, Your Honour. They went off in a post coach, and the young squire went off on a horseback. They are 30 miles off by this time.
Then all my hopes are over.
Yes, sir. Sir Charles has arrived. He and the old gentleman of this house have been laughing at Mr. Marlowe's mistake this half hour. Oh, they are coming this way now.
Then I must not be seen. So now, to my fruitless appointment at the bottom of the garden. This is about the time.
The peremptory tone in which he sent forth his sublime commands.
And the reserve with which I suppose he treated all your advances.
And yet he might have seen something in me above a common innkeeper, too.
Yes, but Dick, he mistook you for an uncommon innkeeper.
Well, I'm in too good spirits to think of anything but joy. Yes, my dear friend, this union of our families will make our personal friendships hereditary. And though my daughter's fortune is but small...
Why, Dick, will you talk of fortune to me? My son is possessed of more than a competence already, and can want only for a good and virtuous girl to share his happiness and increase it. If they like each other, as you say they do...
If, man? Oh, I tell you they do like each other. My daughter as good as told me so.
Ah, but ladies are apt to flatter themselves.
I saw him grasp her hand in the warmest manner myself. Go on, here he comes to put you out of your ifs, I warrant him.
I come, sir, once more to ask pardon for my strange conduct. I can scarce reflect on my insolence without confusion.
Oh, that boy, a trifle you take it too gravely. An hour or two's laughing with my daughter will set all to rights again. She'll never like you the worse for it.
I shall always be proud of her approbation.
Oh, approbation is but a cold word, Mr. Marlowe. If I'm not deceived, you have something more than approbation thereabout. You take me?
Really, sir, I have not that habit.
Oh, come on. I'm an old fellow and I know what's what as well as you that are younger. I know what has passed between you. Oh, but none.
Oh, sure, sir, nothing has passed between us but the most profound respect on my side and the most distant reserve on hers. You don't think, sir, that my impudence has been passed upon all the rest of the family?
Impudence? Oh, no, I don't say that. Not quite impudence. Though girls like to be played with and rumpled a little too sometimes. But she's told no tales, I assure you.
I never gave her the slightest cause.
Well, I like modesty in its place well enough, but this is overacting, young gentleman. You may be open. Your father and I will like you all the better for it.
May I die, sir, if I ever...
tell you, she don't dislike you, and as you like her...
Dear sir, I protest,
sir.
I
see no reason why you should not be joined as soon as the parson can tie you.
But hear me, sir!
Your father approves the match. I admire it. Every moment's delay will be doing mischief.
But hear me, sir! By all that's just and true, I never gave Miss Hardcastle the slightest mark of my attachment, or even the most distant hints to suspect me of affection. We had but one interview, and it was formal and modest and interesting.
This fellow's formal, modest impudence is beyond bearing.
You never grasped her hand or made any protestations?
As heaven is my witness, I came down in obedience to your commands. I met the lady without emotion and parted without reluctance. I hope you'll exact no further proofs of my duty, nor prevent me from leaving a house in which I suffer so many mortifications.
I am astonished at the air of sincerity with which he parted.
I'm astonished at the deliberate intrepidity of his assurance.
You know, I would pledge my life and honor upon his truth.
Here comes my daughter. I would stake my happiness upon her veracity. Kate, come hither, child. Answer us sincerely and without reserve. Has Mr. Marlowe made you any professions of love and affection?
The question is very abrupt, sir, but since you require unreserved sincerity, I think he has.
You see.
And have you and my son had more than one interview?
Yes, sir, several.
You see.
impression?
A lasting one.
Did you talk of love?
Much, sir.
Amazing. And all this formally?
Formally.
My friend, I hope you're satisfied.
And pray, madam, how did he behave?
As most professed admirers do. Said some civil things of my face. Talked much of his want of merit and the greatness of mine. Mentioned his heart, gave a short tragedy speech, and ended with pretended rapture.
Now I am perfectly convinced indeed. I know my son's conversation among women to be modest and submissive. This forward, ranting, canting manner in no way describes him, and I am convinced he never sat for the picture.
Then what, sir, if I should convince you to your face of my sincerity? If you and my papa, in about half an hour, will place yourselves behind the garden trellis, you will hear him declare his passion to me in person.
Agreed. And if I find him, as you describe, then all my happiness in him must have an end.
And if you don't find him what I describe, I fear my happiness must never have a beginning.
What an idiot am I to wait here for a fellow who probably takes a delight in mortifying me. He never intended to be punctual, and I'll wait no longer. What do I see? It's he, and with news perhaps of my Constance. My honest squire, I now find you a man of your word. This looks like friendship.
Aye, I am your friend. The best friend you had in the world, if you knew but all. Ooh, this riding by night, by the by, it's cursedly tiresome. It shook me worse than the basket of a stagecoach.
How? Where did you leave your fellow travellers? Are they in safety? Are they housed?
5 and 20 miles in 2 hours and a half is not such bad driving. The poor beast smoked for it. Rabbit me, I'd sooner ride 40 miles after a fox than 10 with such farming.
Well, but where have you left the ladies? I die with impatience.
Where have I left them? Why, where should I leave them? But where I found them.
This is a riddle.
Well, then riddle me this. What goes around the house and round the house, but never touches the house?
I'm still astray.
Am I? By jingle, that's it, I've led them astray. They're into a pond or a slough within 5 miles of the place, but they can tell the taste of.
I understand. You took them in a round while they supposed themselves going forward. And so you have at last brought them home again.
You shall hear. First, I took them down Featherbed Lane, where we got stuck fast in the mud. Then, I rattled them crack over the stones of up and down hill. And then I introduced them to the gibbet on Heavy Tree. And from there, with a circumbendibus, I fair lodged him in the horse pond at the bottom of the garden.
But no accident, I hope?
No. Only Mother is confoundedly frightened. She thinks herself 40 miles off. She's sick of the journey, the cattle can scarce crawl, so if your own horses be ready, you may whip off with cousin, and there's not a soul here, I'll be bound, that can budge a foot to follow you.
My dear friend, how can I be grateful?
Now it's dear friend, noble squire. Just now, it was all idiot, cub, and run me through the guts. Well, damn your way of fighting, I say. After we take a knock in this part of the country, we kiss and be friends. But if you hadn't run me through the guts, I'd be dead and you might go kiss the hangman.
The rebuke is just, but I must hasten to relieve Miss Neville. If you keep the old lady employed, I promise to take care of the young one.
Never fear me. and vanish. Here she comes. She's got from the pond. She's draggled up to the waist like a mermaid.
Tony, I'm killed. I'm shook. I'm battered to death. I shall never survive it.
Like Mama, it was all your own fault. You would be for running away by night without knowing 1 inch of the way.
Oh, I wish we were at home again. I never met with so many accidents in so short a journey. I've been drenched in mud, stuck fast in a slough, overturned in a ditch, jolted to a jelly, and at last to lose our way. Oh, whereabouts do you think we are, Tony?
Oh, by my guess, we should come upon Crack Skull Common, about 40 miles from home.
The most notorious place in all England. Oh, we only want a robbery to make a complete night hunt.
Oh, don't be afraid, Mama. 2 of the 5 that kept here are hanged, and the other 3 may not find us. Oh! Is that a man galloping behind us? Oh no, it's just a tree. Don't be afraid, Mama, don't be afraid.
Oh, the fright shall certainly kill me. Oh.
Do you see anything like a black hat moving behind that thicket?
Oh, death.
Oh no, it's just a cow. Don't be afraid, Mama, don't be afraid.
Oh, Tony, as I'm alive, I see a man coming towards us. If he perceives us, we're undone.
Father-in-law, by all that's unlucky, come to take one of his night walks. Oh! It's a highwayman with pistols as long as my arm, a damned ill-looking fella.
Oh, he approaches.
Do you hide yourself behind that trellis? Leave me to manage him, and if there be any danger, I'll cough and cry hem. And when I cough, be sure to keep close.
I'm mistaken, or I had voices of people in want of help. Oh, Tony! Is that you? I did not expect you so soon back. Are your mother and her charge in safety?
Oh, very safe, sir. They're at my Aunt Pedigree's.
Oh, I perceive there is danger.
40 miles in 2 hours? Sure, that's too much, my youngster.
Well, stout horses and willing minds make for short journeys, as they say.
Oh, sure he'll do the poor boy no harm.
But I heard a voice here. I should be glad to know from whence it came.
It was I, sir. I was talking to myself, sir. I was just saying that 40 miles in 4 hours is very good going, which to be sure it was. Oh, I've got a sort of a cold, being out in the air. We'll go in, sir.
But if you talk to yourself, you did not answer yourself. I'm certain I heard 2 voices, and I'm resolved to find the other out.
Oh, he's resolved to find me out.
What did you go, sir? If I can tell you. I'd lay down my life for the truth, sir. I'll tell you all, sir.
I will not be detained. I insist on seeing. It's in vain to expect to delay you.
You murdered my poor boy, my darling. Here, good gentlemen, wait a rage upon me. Take my money, my life, all I have. Oh, but spare that poor joy. Spare my child, if you have any mercy.
My wife, as I am a Christian. Whence did she come? What does she mean?
Oh, please, good highwayman, take mercy upon us. Take my money, my watches, all I have, but spare our lives. Oh, we shall never bring you to justice, indeed we won't. Oh, good Mr. Highwayman.
I believe the woman's out of her wits. What, Dorothy? Don't you know me?
Mr. Hardcastle, as I'm alive. My fears blinded me. But who, my dear, could have expected to find you here in this faraway place so far from home? What made you follow us?
Oh, Dorothy, you have not lost your wits. So far from home, when you are within 40 yards of your own door? Oh, this is one of your tricks, you graceless rogue, you. Don't you know the gate, the mulberry tree, Don't you remember the horse pond?
Oh, I shall remember the horse pond as long as I live. I have caught my death in it. And it is to you, you graceless varlet, that I owe all this. Oh, I'll teach you to abuse your mother. I will.
Oh, godmother! The old parish says you spoilt me. Now you may take the fruits on it.
I'll spoil you. I'll spoil you.
There's morality, however, in his reply.
My dear Constance, why will you deliberate thus? If we delay a moment, all is lost forever. Pluck up a little resolution, and we shall soon be out of the reach of her malignity.
I find it impossible. My spirits are so sunk with the agitations I have suffered that I am unable to face any new danger. 2 or 3 years' patience will at last crown us with happiness.
Oh, such a tedious delay is worse than inconstancy. Let us fly, my charmer. Let us date our happiness from this very moment. Perish fortune. Love and content will increase what we possess beyond a monarch's revenue. Let me prevail.
No, Mr. Hastings, no. Prudence once more comes to my relief, and I will obey its dictates. In the moment of passion, fortune may be despised, but it ever produces a lasting repentance. I am resolved to apply to Mr. Hardcastle's compassion and justice for redress.
But though he had the will, he has not the power to relieve you.
But he has influence, and upon that I am resolved to rely.
I have no hopes. But since you persist, I must reluctantly obey you.
What a situation I'm in. If what you say appears, then I shall find a guilty son. If what he says is true, then I shall lose one that of all others I would have wished for a daughter.
I'm proud of your approbation, and to show I merit it, if you will place yourselves as I directed, you will hear his explicit declaration. But he comes.
I'll to your father and keep him to the appointment.
Though prepared for setting out, I come once more to take leave. Nor did I know till this moment the pain I feel in the separation.
I believe sufferings cannot be very great, sir, that you can so easily remove. A day or two longer, perhaps, might lessen your uneasiness by showing you the little value of what you now think proper to regret.
This girl every moment improves upon me. It must not be, madam. I have already trifled too long with my heart. My very pride begins to submit to my passion. The disparity in wealth and education, the anger of the parents, the contempt of my equals, begin to lose their weight. And nothing can restore me to myself but this painful effort of resolution.
Then go, sir. I'll urge nothing more to detain you. Though my family be as good as hers you came down to visit, and my education, I hope, not inferior, what are these advantages without equal affluence? I must remain contented with the slight approbation of imputed merit. I must have only the mockery of your addresses, while all your serious aims are fixed on fortune.
Here, behind this trellis.
Aye, aye. Make no noise. I'll engage my Kate covers him with confusion at last.
By heavens, madam, fortune was ever my smallest consideration. Your beauty at first caught my eye, for who could see that without emotion? Yet every moment I converse with you steals in some new grace, heightens the picture, gives it stronger expression. What at first seemed rustic plainness now appears refined simplicity. What seemed forward assurance now strikes me as the result of courageous innocence and conscious virtue.
What can it mean? He amazes me.
I told you how it would be. Shh.
I am now determined to stay, madam, and I have too good an opinion of my father's approbation, when he sees you, to doubt his discernment.
No, Mr. Marlowe, I will not, cannot detain you. Do you think I would suffer a connection in which there is the smallest room for repentance? Do you think I would take the mean advantage of a transient passion to load you with confusion? Do you think I could ever relish that happiness which was acquired by
that's good. I can have no happiness but what's in your power to grant me. Nor will I ever feel repentance, but in not having seen your merits before. I will stay there, even contrary to your wishes. And though you should persist to shun me, I shall make respectful assiduities atone for the levity of my past conduct.
Sir, I must entreat your desist. As our acquaintance began, so let it end, in indifference. I might have given an hour or two to levity, but seriously, Mr. Marlowe, do you think I could ever submit to a connection where I must appear mercenary and you imprudent? Do you think I could ever catch at the confident addresses of a secure admirer?
Does this look like security? Does this look like confidence? No, madam. Every moment in your company shows me your merits and only serves to increase my diffidence and confusion. Here, let me continue.
I can hold it no longer! Chance! Chance! How hast thou deceived me? Is this your indifference, your uninteresting conversation?
Your cold contempt, your formal interview? What are you to say now?
Then I'm all amazement. What can it mean?
It means that you can say and unsay things at pleasure. That you can address a lady in private and deny it in public. That you have one story for us and another for my daughter.
Daughter? This lady, your daughter?
Yes, sir. My only daughter, my Kate. Whose else should she be?
Oh, the devil.
Yes, sir. That very identical, tall, squinting lady you were so pleased to take me for. She whom you addressed as the mild, modest, sentimental man of gravity. And as the bold, forward, agreeable rattle of the ladies' club.
Zoons, there's no bearing this. It's worse than death.
In which of your characters, sir, will you give us leave to address you? As the faltering gentleman with looks on the ground, who speaks just to be heard and hates hypocrisy? Or as the loud, confident creature that keeps it up with Mrs. Mantrap and old Miss Biddy Buckskin till 3 in the morning?
Oh, confound my noisy head. I never yet attempted to be impudent that I was not taken down. I must be gone.
Oh, by the hand of my body, but you shall not. I see. It was all a mistake, and I am rejoiced to find it. You shall not, sir, I tell you. I know she'll forgive you. Won't you forgive him, Kate? We'll all forgive you. Oh, take courage, man.
So they got off. I cannot. Let them go.
Who, God?
My dutiful niece, with Mr. Hastings from town. He that came down with our modest visitor there.
My good George Hastings. There's not a better man that lives, and the girl could not have made a more prudent choice.
And by the hand of my body, I'm proud of the connection.
Well, if he has taken away the girl, he has not taken away her fortune. That stays in this family to console us for her loss.
Why, Dorothy, you would not be so mercenary.
Well, that's my affair, not yours.
But you know, if your son, when he comes into his fortune, if he refuses to marry his cousin, her whole fortune is then at her own disposal.
But he's not there yet, and she has not thought fit to wait for his refusal. What? Returned so soon, I begin not to like it.
For my late attempt to fly off with your niece, may my present confusion be my punishment. We are now come back to appeal from your justice to your humanity. By her father's consent, I first paid her my addresses, and our passions were first founded in duty.
Since his death, I have been obliged to stoop to dissimulation to avoid oppression. In an hour of levity, I was ready to give up my fortune to secure my choice. But I am now recovered from the delusion, and hope from your tenderness what is denied me from a nearer connection.
Oh, 'tis but the whining end of a modern novel.
I'm glad they come back to claim their due. Come here, Johnny boy. Do you refuse this lady's hand, whom I now offer?
signifies my refusing. You know, I can't refuse until I've inherited, Father.
Well, when I thought deferring your inheritance, boy, was likely to conduce to your improvement, I concurred with your mother's desire to keep it secret. But since I find she turns it to a wrong use, I must now declare I signed the papers 3 months ago.
Am I a man of fortune? I'm a man of fortune!
Have been for about 3 months.
Then you shall see the first use I shall make of my liberty. Witness all men by these present that I, Tony Lupkin of Dunworth, refuse you, Constantia Neville, spinster of Grindfall, to be my true and lawful wife. So Constance Neville can marry whom she pleases, and Tony Lupkin is his own man again!
Right, Squire! My worthy friend!
Dutiful offspring.
Joy, my dear George, I give you joy completely. And if I could prevail on my little tyrant here to be less arbitrary, I would be the happiest man alive if you would return me the favour.
Come, madam, you are now driven to the very last scene of all your contrivances. I know you like him. I'm sure he loves you, and you must and shall have him.
And I say so too. And Mr. Marlowe, if she makes as good a wife, she has a daughter. I don't believe you will ever repent your bargain. So, now to supper. Tomorrow we shall call all the poor of the parish about us, and the mistakes of the night shall be crowned with a merry morning. So, boy, take her. And as you have been mistaken in the mistress, my wish is that you may never be mistaken in the wife.